Hello there, and welcome to the Joe Mom Skylander YouTube channel. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're not new here, welcome but better. So, in this very long video, I'm going to explain why Killer Moth is the greatest Batman villain ever made. And over this however long video, I'm going to prove it. Now, on the surface, Killer Moth is just a regular lame-o wacko of a Batman villain, if you can even call him that. Like, he didn't even appear in the Arkham games. And so what? This is the greatest villain in history. He has no need to be in a silly little franchise like the Arkham games. He's way better than that. So in this video, I wanted to take you through a journey of the Moth, the metamorphosis of this character, from a stupid little villain to the Moth who stole my heart. This masculine Moth first appeared in Batman number 63, in the last story where we are introduced to the character who, with a prologue that reads, quote, "Many are the weapons which the intrepid team of Batman and Robin use against the forces of evil, the Batmobile, the Batplane, and the many secrets of the Batcave. These are but a few of the devices which provide the dynamic duo amazing striking power when the Bat Signal summons it to action. But now, another beam casts its sinister glow in the dusky firmament, the Moth Signal, and in answer to its call comes an ingenious rogue whose mission is the protection of the underworld. You will be stunned when you see this criminal's custodian's arsenal of evil thrown against the twin defenders of justice, as for the first time, Batman meets a criminal adversary who matches his every weapon." Now, let's just dissect this intro real quick. Now, we know nothing about this guy. For all we know, this could just be a bunch of mumbo-jumbo hunky-tonky. A man with all bark and no bite. But this is where it subverts our sights. In the cover, it shows three silhouettes, terrified because of Batman. But because they see Killer Moth, they aren't afraid. Meaning that Killer Moth can stand on his own, as he has already established himself into the criminal underworld. And criminals know him and respect him. We also know he's not just your average villain, as he will face up against a man who can match his every weapon. Not only does this mean his gadgets, but also his brain, showing that he has a high intellect and can stand along one of the smartest people, like Magnus Carlsen has an IQ of 190. But Moth could be smarter than Batman, who has an IQ of 192, so we must assume that Killer Moth is one of the greatest chess players to ever exist. That's another skill Moth has. But that's just the intro. Let's dive into this incredible work of fiction. In these first pages, we are introduced to convict number 234026 with a fascination. And we know this, as we all know like-minded people are always drawn to each other. So not only does Killer Moth respect Batman, he understands greatness. And when he sees it after being released, he uses his money to buy a mansion, giving him more reason why he sees greatness, as Bruce Wayne owns a mansion, maybe drawing that Mr. 230426 might know Bruce Wayne's secret identity. We then get to the name drop of Cameron Von Clear, as he enjoys his, quote, gay life. So not only is he pushing the status quo of the 1960s by being an openly gay supervillain, he does it with such style and elegance, no one even cares. This guy truly puts the gay rights ahead of their time. So put that under the belt, next to Grand Tressmaster. We then see him as he established a manly moth cave under his house. We see how he deals with business, as he pays them in lead, as in shooting them. This shows that he doesn't mess around, and if you do a poor job, you're gonna get punished. As in this panel, the walls to the cave are all dirt. They left a minecart and rails still there. He also does this so that he knows he's the only person who knows the location, suggesting that Killer Moth is not only a superior person, he is an alpha, a lone wolf, taking shit from no one. We also finally get to see his design, as he wears a lime green mask to show disgust, or a radioactive color to symbolize that he is a threat and a danger to people, and of course eyebrows for intimidation factor, along with pure wide eyes so that people can't see his emotions, as he wants to be seen as a cold, strong man. We then get to the purple. The light purple symbolizes comfort and luxury, as purple dye is one of the most expensive dyes. This shows he is comfortable with his living situation and is not afraid to spend a little bit on luxury. We then get to his pants, which symbolize the queer pride flag, as we let's forget that Killer Moth is part of the LGBTQ plus community. These parts symbolize how he is comfortable in his own skin, how he's proud of who he is, and how he's an ally and an icon to all the open and closeted people of the 60s. But let's get on with his. Now let's get to his orange wings, which function as both wings and a glider that allows him to elegantly glide from building to building. We're now going to talk about his car. This car is one of, if not, the most spectacular vehicles in all of fiction known to man. I'm talking this thing is better than the Ecto-1, the Death Star, TIE Fighter, X-Wing, any fictional vehicle. This thing surpasses it. On the outside of the bumper, there's a giant Killer Moth head in the front, and not only does it intimidate opponents, it's functional too, as the antenna lets him know if any danger is nearby. The rest of the paint job is green, orange, and pink, with one seat, showing that he is a one-man show. So he takes no partners or nothing. This is just him and his car, the best love story, really. The design is long and sleek, and resembles the Adam West Batmobile to a degree. This means that this is a fast car with a large body, and it must have at least top speeds of over 200 miles an hour. But because of that long body, there's definitely space for a second seat, meaning that he might take a poor soul and race him, teaching him the ropes, showing that he is a good educator and a great leader. In his crime lab, he uses it to make sure so crimes cannot be solved, as he created an invention to make it impossible for the bullet to be traced, meaning he is putting that 190 IQ to use by looking out for the little guy and making sure that they can never get caught, and by making a little money on the side too. He also gives out a moth symbol reflecting on the idea of course, the bat symbol, as when it's turned on, he will show up. Another way of showing he is a genius and is how his antenna picks up police radio signals, meaning he can listen into the GCPD without them even noticing. He then asks a question for a dumb idiot who asks about if he has a partner. He then tells him he has 6, as he points to a revolver, showing that he knows comedy, thus making him the same, if not funnier than the Joker. He of course then has dinner with Mr. Wayne, where they both have to go. He notices the bat symbol, perhaps connecting the dots as he too has to leave because of the moth symbol. We then see KM in his gear flying, and when he gets to the point the cops are so terrified they can't even fire their guns. When Batman shows up, he knocks him out with his moth gas. When Batman wakes up, he's at KM's cave, not even knowing that it's his, suggesting that maybe KM's smarter than the Bat, as he then jokes around about how taking off the mask, but declines, as it would ruin the fun, basically stating, "I know who you are, and I don't care." He then states that torturing him is going to be way more fun. He then forces Batman to watch as Robin is going to die by being burnt like a moth to a flame, showing that KM knows the faults of a moth and yet chooses to be him, as he's turning this into a game of brains and not brawn. He then convinces Batman to take him to his cave, and he lets Robin to his own devices. This is then where Robin escapes, but is that on his own, or does the moth want him killed? KM leaves a bucket around, allowing Robin to escape, testing him to see if he's truly worth of fighting against. As he knows Batman is, he wants to make sure that this 12-year-old child can stand an attack from a grown man. He knew everything that was going to happen. He knew Robin was going to escape and call the police. He knew what was going to happen. So he left Batman look like a fool and him a criminal mastermind, as this was all a test for the Batman to see if truly is what he says. The book ends with him escaping in the night, and Batman atop a slippery bridge. Batman number 64 has a return of the Killer Moth, as in the first page it shows him already deducting Batman's true identity. He then is attacked by Batman because he doesn't drink milk, leading to the only possible conclusion that he is a lactose intolerant, meaning that Batman attacked a man because he wouldn't drink milk, meaning that not only is Batman homophobic, he is a lassist. Because of this, he's captured and demasked. But what if Killer Moth wanted to be unmasked? What if he knew that he's going to be fine and that he's not a pussy? This is a form of intimidation, showing that even without the mask, he's still Killer Moth. In his third appearance, he is already setting trends, as he goes to get plastic surgery to look like Bruce Wayne. Does that sound like someone we know? He also likes calling kids Dick, so he has that going for him. This guy can also take a bullet like a champ, as he appears to be shot 6 times and is able to walk it off like no one's business. This man was truly an inspiration to all, as he has people dressed up as him and even fooling the real Batman. With all that finished, we conclude the golden age of the Killer Moth. Not only is he a cunning villain, he stood against the Batman time and time again, proving to be a threat with all of his brains and gadgets, as well as quirks as a lactose-intolerant queer villain. This man is truly a symbol and an icon to the Batman mythos, and anyone who defiles him should be sent straight to the bottommost lair of hell. Killer Moth's first reintroduction is during Detective Comics number 359, where we see his new design, where he keeps the original design, yet it's sleeker and more refined. He now has teeth with 2 fangs. The purple is now deeper, as to show he has grown more powerful in wealth and in the mind. He now has a moth mansion. He also has lost the purple stripes on the pants, maybe showing how he grew away from the LGBTQ group, as he's now raising 3 little mothlights who dress just like him, but without the cape or the symbol on the chest, maybe as a way to hide from who he is, as he might be ashamed now, or it was getting too expensive. It could mean he has an Irish heritage, maybe. He's maybe a second generation or an immigrant, symbolizing a rag to riches story, meaning that Batman could possibly be part of ICE, as he attacked KM over being an immigrant. He also got rid of the wings, turning it into an orange cape, as everyone knows during the 70s, capes were all the rage. As saying, Killer Moth was hip, and with it. He also now has a throne made out of candle wax. He then plants a fake body to trick Batgirl by placing a fake Bruce Wayne to trick this Batgirl, as she is new on the scene, and to make sure, like Robin and Batman in years past, that they pass the test to be able to fight him. He also still has a Mothmobile, so, in case you were wondering about it, don't worry, it's all fine, it's still there. Batman then defeats him because he basically had an allergic reaction to Batgirl's perfume. So does that mean Batman likes preying on the weak? Yeah, I think so. Meaning that he's now homophobic, lactist, part of ICE, and a narcissist, as opposed to smart, brave, strong, caring, apathetic Killer Moth. His last Silver Age appearance was in Batman number 200, where they find Killer Moth helpless and beat him up because his shoes were untied, not even helping to tie them, meaning that Batman doesn't like helping the needy, as instead of tying his shoes, he just punches him, which might lead to a concussion or other trauma. He also seemingly doesn't have any kids, meaning he might have taken them to an orphanage, as he knew he couldn't take care of them as his funds were dropping, leading to the conclusion of him leaving them in the hands of the government to find a better place to live away from crime. This shows that Killer Moth knows what's best, further showing his high IQ. At the end of the Silver Age, where Batman was at his worst and Killer Moth not at his greatest, but maybe the Bronze Age will change that. His first appearance in the Bronze Age is in Batman Family number 10, as he teams up with the less successful villain named Cavalier. Killer Moth's design is about the same, but a bit more vibrant. He now has a cocoon gun that he uses to trap people, but, let's dissect this real quick. What is a cocoon? A cocoon is used to turn a caterpillar into a butterfly, or into a moth, depending on the species. So does this mean that Killer Moth is trying to turn people into a moth, as seen later in the issue, or into a butterfly, helping them achieve perfection, as butterfly symbols beauty and luxury? So this is Killer Moth's way of perfecting the human race into a way of achieving heaven, by turning the human race into the best of themselves. But let's dive back into this achieving heaven thing. When you think of achieving heaven, you think of Poochie from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 6, Stone Ocean, where he wants to rewrite the universe into its perfect self. But wait, we just described Killer Moth doing this, meaning that Araki, the creator of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, took inspiration of Killer Moth, meaning that we have to thank Killer Moth for not only Part 6, Part 7, Part 8, and Part 9. But let's jump back into the flying moths. We see two flying moths a Killer Moth ride. And is this what he turned his minions into, as they haven't been seen since? So not only is Killer Moth a genius, he can successfully turn people into a beast, making Killer Moth truly one of the greatest minds of all fiction. We now get a short little storyline where different villains talk about how Batman might have died. Different villains talk about how they killed Batman, but Killer Moth, well, he's a little quiet. A little too quiet, as he is the only one who maybe killed a Batman, but we never truly know. What is his story? If so, we are just left it up to speculation. But before that, I want to analyze a panel featuring our one and only, where we see him in his tall, sexy, his shirt, it's real tight, and that bulge, and the way those pants wrap around his legs. Oh boy. Anyway, on to much serious matters, which means A, he's the life of the party, and can hold a conversation, or B, he wants Ivy, as maybe he isn't gay, but bi, or his eyes are for another person, or should I say a man. That's right, Killer Moth has his eyes on for Mad Hatter, meaning that this gay icon is still around and he won't be gone anytime soon. The next instance of Killer Moth is in the Bat Family number 15, where he supposedly is in two places at once. Or, so that begs the question, is he? The intro says how he is, but we aren't shown that. He is leading for it either to be two different scenarios or two different people, and it is then revealed to be option B, as Cavalier is the second Killer Moth. So, where's the original? Well, I'm gonna propose two scenarios. A, he fought Batgirl, where Batgirl calls him sexist, which is terrible, as one, KM never mentioned that to Batgirl, that she was weak. So, Batgirl is just making assumptions, as if KM just didn't want to attack someone in the Bat Family. So not only is she a liar, she's also homophobic. Well, go by the way you say it, meaning that Batgirl is sexist, not our boy KM. Now, let's go to my theory. None of them were the true KM, as he is actually in the meeting with all the villains deducting Batman's death, as Batman is never seen in both of these issues. So, thus, we go up to the copycats, or the little Mothites, or is it someone else we don't know? I'll leave it up to you. His next appearance is in Batman number 311, where he is seen fighting Batgirl, which leads me to the theory. We all know that KM is gay, and that girls are mean to guys they like. So, I have a little query. Does Batgirl not know that KM is gay and is trying to get KM to like her back? But since KM is gay, he doesn't want to date Batgirl, leading to his actions to be in self-defense, thus making Batgirl act out on it, leading to some violent encounters. He then returns in Detectives Comics number 486, as he's introduced reading a newspaper, mocking him and ruining his reputation. Luckily, KM's not having it, so he goes out to destroy Batgirl. Plus, he now has a green, translucent wings under his cape. Who knows, it's justified, as it's more of a heated rivalry, as he's grown past the Bat. He's old news, but Batgirl, she's young and spar, and could probably put on a better fight. That's why he goes for Barbara. We also get a new look at the new Mothmobile, as it now has a single shade of dark olive green. It's more sleek, and more resembles an arrowhead, or a moth with his wings tucked in. Probably for aerodynamics. There are now teeth and eyes on it as well, as more seats. Is this a downgrade though? That's the real question. And no, this you could say is an upgrade, as with more aerodynamics, the faster the object is. This also symbolizes a change, or a metamorphosis if you will, as the moth is always changing with his surroundings. The vehicle also had a cocoon gun on it to capture people, trapping them in his sticky substance. Batgirl then pins him to a car and then repeatedly beats him with a blunt object, probably causing a concussion or severe head trauma. In Detective Comics number 526, we see this motley man hanging out with Clayface, Two-Face, and the Gentlemanly Ghost, as they all devise a plan to kill the Killer Croc. and then shoots some people, making some sly remarks showing how he still has a sense of humor. He then gets two-timed by Robin and Batgirl, which to say they didn't, as it was dark, and in that sword shed, who's to say it wasn't Clayface that knocked everyone out to make them look dead. Also, who's to say it isn't Clayface, leaving Killer Moth to continue roaming the night freely. Batman number 400 finally brings back Killer Moth's iconic orange wings, ditching the cape once and for all. Although, the cape is still seen in a few panels, which is either an art problem or he is currently in the cocoon stage, metamorphosized between his caped caterpillar form and his winged moth form. We also see KM hanging around with the Mad Hatter, who we have theorized earlier KM might have a little crush on him. So, do you know what, KM? You go get him, Tiger. What's even better is that he gets a decently big role in the story, as he does shoot the Batman. Unfortunately, at this point, KM has just been reduced to a man in a moth costume with a gun. Even worse, the person he shoots is a dummy, leaving to his loss. We now get to Killer Moth's last true appearance for a while. Killer Moth appears in Batman Shadow of the Bat number 7 through 9, where he runs a little group of misfits including Catman, Calendar Man, and Chancer. We also see a new Killer Moth design. The mask is a lot longer, and it looks like it's attached to a suit, which is now mostly green, with hints of purple. He now has a pure green leggings and bulkier wings. This is also the introduction of his red eyes. He and his misfits then kidnap Bruce Wayne and Commissioner Gordon, where we then get to see Killer Moth's deduction skills, as he knows how there's something about Bruce Wayne that's a bit more than meets the eye. As, if you remember, he did deduce Batman's identity, but lost it due to a brain surgery. The same one Batman made him take, an involuntary lobotomy, if you will. But it was the 60s, so it was okay, but it's not, under the circumstances of the 21st century, so thus we should all cancel Batman. The good thing is, KM is gonna drown Bruce Wayne, so at least that's all good. Bruce Wayne then gets out and then beats up the Moth. But this is so far my favorite story, as this brings back his leaderships and is more down to earth than our normal Moth. And although his suit isn't the best, it does bring his iconic red eyes, which I do prefer over the white. The comic is a great step in making our manly Moth stand out from the rest of the normal villains. As we all know, the main Batman villains like Joker, the Riddler, but seeing how a man named Killer Moth can stand against his own and be just as capable, I give this rating 10 batarangs out of 5 cocoon guns. In Robin number 23, we see a Killer Moth in his darkest form yet, as after making a deal with Neron, he turns into a heinous beast, a true moth if you will. His design, in my opinion, is amazing, as he's now more moth than man. He's now brown, fuzzy, has his teeth, bony fingers, and large brown wings on his back, mostly resembling the fabled Mothman. He then goes around town, cocooning a bunch of people, but why? In the first part, as we see him, he has having a nightmare of people seeing him as a joke, as no one can take him seriously, or because he hasn't been able to capture the Batman. So that's what he wants, to cocoon people because no one likes him. He just wants to be loved and accepted as who he is. It's because they don't respect him, or is it some other reason? But what's really cool is how he basically defeated Robin, as he was just cocooned to a ceiling for the majority of the story. The only reason he lost was because of his one weakness, nets. Now as time goes on, he just makes brief appearances, still as Traxasses, as he works with Two-Face, or is seen in the Tales of Madness. He's also seen working with the Creeper for 2 issues. He's then seen in Starman, where he's mentioned as the Killer Wasp, which is not his name. This goes back to how people still see him as a joke, and KM continually to be recognized and loved. He then works with Heliogramite, who is like the mixture of the old Killer Moth and the one right now. Then he gets Jokerized in Joker's Last Laugh. His last true appearance as Traxasses is in Robin number 107 through 110, where he gives birth to little miniature versions of himself. Of course those babies aren't human form. This is where I ask some questions like, how can he give birth as we know of is a male, unless because of Traxasses, he's able to change his genes, making him a female, like some lizards and frogs, where asexual birth is called sequential hermaphroditism. And some fish do it too, so that's pretty cool. Overall, the Traxasses area was pretty mid, as I like the moth wearing a suit and not just being a monster. Our next area is one of the best and most notable Killer Moth usages. Now, Batgirl Year 1 is of course about Batgirl, but is also the origin of the Moth, as we see him time and time again lose everything to credibility to his gang. He tries desperately to be menacing, and when things get out of hand, he has no idea what to do. He even teams up with Firefly, can't quite handle the heat, pun intended. But this doesn't diminish KM in the slightest. This makes him a way better character, as it shows how he's just human, just like us, and it shows his perseverance, and no matter how bad things got, he continued to live out his dream. He also says that cops only focus on the straight citizens, as he rarely interacts with the cops, continuing my theory of him being gay. Our next series is in Green Arrow number 25, where his design kind of flows into like a rat catcher like costume with the gas mask and all. He has basically no costume. He is wearing a jacket, some gas tanks on his back, which I guess are baby wings if you squint real hard enough. He also has a gun that shoots what looks like to be pressurized air. They are so strong that they can even destroy bullets. This is also definitely one of those more serious takes on the character, as he has no silly gimmick costume, but he does want his name to be a moth themed, as he, quote, loves moths. He then appears in Green Arrow 31 through 34, where it looks like with a new group of misfits, but this time in Star City. He now has longer hair, more advanced gas mask. He then gets electrocuted, which is sad, as he mentioned he was now a C-list villain, as he was working his way up, meaning soon he could have been one of the top dogs. In Detective Comics number 969, we see our KM throwing up. This goes back to being relatable, as he has a very important meeting coming up. His design resembles Year 1 pretty closely. His antennas are shorter, and he now has the white lenses. His shirt kind of merges with his underwear, and he has thicker stripes and bigger boots. In this meeting, he talks about how to handle the Bat family. In this speech, he talks about how he doesn't want to be seen as a joke anymore, as he is something more, something better. He is then seen with Ratcatcher and Firefly, as they continue their relationship since Year 1. Solomon Grundy and Zaz are also there. Sadly, Grundy turns out to be Clayface and then beat up the Moth. He then appears in Batgirls number 9 through 12. Killer Moth appears more futuristic and more protected in a way. His suit is more armored, and it is now one piece and all black with orange accents. His helmet is also more jagged and has yellow lenses. He now doesn't use wings, he has a jetpack instead, which is, pretty cool. The gadgets that this guy uses are just web shooters, which is a shame, as he doesn't have the cocoon gun. It ends with him working with Riddler, which sucks for the past few times, because he's never been capable. But you know what I really miss? I really miss the Mothmobile. When's my Mothmobile gonna come back? In Lazarus Planet Dark Fake number 1, we see the Moth now with all white with bandages on his head, as he's giving a speech to try to get people to join his cult, as he already got some people like the Onomatopoeia, the Cavalier, and I think Zaz. In his speech, he talks about not having concerns for God or rules, as he becomes an anarchist. He now believes in rioting and looting, as he tells people to take gold. He also wants people to kill other people, maybe as a way to stop overpopulation. Claims himself as the Messiah, or the anti-Batman, in a way, as he was the original anti-Batman. Sadly, his time comes to an end where he's basically martyred out of a window. In The Joker Presents a Puzzle Box, we see our titular Moth work with the Riddler as usual and fight Man-Bat. This fight is good, as it depicts two anti-Batman, and it truly is a fight to who is the best anti-Bat. Killer Moth then uses his 192 IQ and tricks Man-Bat to working with him just to shoot him and open the door, showing how brutal he truly is. Plus, he's proficient, as he did this almost instantaneously. He then gets trapped and then starts working with Catwoman, and is thrown in jail. In Gotham City Anniversary Giant number 1, you get one of the best interpretations of Killer Moth, where he breaks down how he lives and how he's now comfortable as who he is. He goes about his daily normally, and instead of actually fighting the Bat, picks up the stray dollars from his fights, going all the way back to the beginning, where I stated how he was comfortable in his own skin. It's no different here, as he now sees himself as a joke villain, but that still doesn't stop him, as he keeps going and persevering. The last source of media we'll talk about is in The Joker, the man who stopped laughing. Killer Moth actually plays a decently pretty big role, and I'm really happy for him. In this run, there's two Jokers, and we have to find out who's the real one is. Cam in this run jumps out of airplanes, as is seen. As a Joker, he's actually well respected in this one, as all the villains seem to love him. Suit is more metal, and now all purple except for the helmet, of course. His wings are also controllable, as they could be used as an umbrella. Now the real question is, does he control them via mind, or are they linked to his brain? Or do they just have like a mind of their own? All of these, except the second one, truly reflect Moth's genius. His wings are also detachable, as Red Hood took them to fly a blimp. And so, after this long, unbiased, and completely scientific analysis of the Moth in its many forms, we must finally accept the truth that Killer Moth is the greatest Batman villain ever created. Now let's just take a look at the facts one more time. First, intelligence. From the very beginning in Batman number 63, we are told that Killer Moth can match Batman's every weapon and strategies. Now, if Batman had an IQ of about 192, that means Killer Moth must logically be around the same level, which means Gotham is dealing with a man who's basically a criminal super genius. A man who could probably beat Magnus Carlsen in chess while simultaneously building a Mothmobile and listening to the police scanners through his helmet. Second, representation. Cameron Von Clear was out here in the 50s enjoying his, quote, gay life, living in a mansion, wearing bright colors and flying around in the city in fabulous purple and orange, decades before it was normal to have an LGBTQ characters in comics. Killer Moth was already doing it. So while the other villains were busy being boring criminals, Killer Moth was actually becoming a queer icon. Third, medical adversity. This man is lactose intolerant, and this is extremely important because in in Batman number 64, he literally attacks him after noticing he doesn't drink milk, which means Batman saw a man with a dietary restriction, and his immediate reaction was violence. Think about that. Batman didn't attack him for crime. He attacked him because his stomach can't process dairy, which leads us to the fourth and most important category, the crimes of Batman. Throughout this entire investigation, we have uncovered several disturbing traits about this so-called Dark Knight. Batman is homophobic, racist, sexist, violent towards the needy, responsible for involuntary brain surgery, and possible ISIS-like behaviors. Meanwhile, Killer Moth has 192 IQ, a successful inventor, mentor to young Mothites, a leader of criminals, a vehicle designer, a queer trailblazer, lactose-intolerant survivor, and a man who somehow gave birth to small clones of himself. And yet, somehow, he's the joke villain. Meanwhile, villains like the Joker get all the attention for being chaotic, and the Riddler gets the respect for being smart. But Killer Moth? This man built the Moth Signal, the Mothmobile, the Moth Cave, invented crime technology, survived being turned into a literal insect monster, got bullied by teenagers, got electrocuted in Star City, and still shows up to every time ready to try and try again. This is not failure, my friends. This is perseverance. Because at the end of the day, Batman is the knight, but Moths have always returned to the light. And no matter how many times Batman punches him, mocks him, performs questionable medical procedures on him, or discriminates against his lactose intolerance, Killer Moth will always return to Gotham's skyline, flapping around proudly in its purple tights, 190 QIQ brain working at full capacity, representing the LGBTQ community, avoiding dairy products, and providing once and for all that he is not just a villain, he is the true anti-Batman. And honestly, that takes way more courage than dressing up like a bat. That concludes my in-depth retrospective on the Killer Moth. Thank you so much for making it this far. And if this gets 10 likes, I will do them in other media such as video games, TV shows, and movies. Bye.